Hello guys, and welcome back to the Insight's Tales. The world's biggest serial killer would have never been caught if he knew how to operate a computer. Imagine a person who is committing serial killings, who is also a friend of his own victim, a well-known name in the city, and on top of that, a doctor. This is the astonishing story of Dr. Harold Shipman, who used his clinic not to save lives, but to take lives. In a small town named Hyde in England, 30,000 people live. He kept on committing serial killings for 23 years under everyone's nose. Even after killing more than 250 people, no one suspected Dr. Harold Shipman, and probably would never have suspected him if he had not made a small mistake. What was the reason for killing people? Why was he not caught for so long? And what clue did the police get that exposed the murders that were going on for years in a single moment? Viewers, Dr. Harold Shipman used to run his own clinic in a small town called Hyde in England. It had a population of 30,000, of which 3,000 were patients of Dr. Shipman. The doctor mostly targeted such patients who lived alone and were very old, whose death could not be suspected by anyone. Dr. Shipman would spend as much time as possible with those patients and would also go to their homes to listen to them, to lighten the burden of their hearts. He would make them feel that, although they are alone, Dr. Shipman is there to listen to their every word. Some patients even trusted Dr. Shipman so much that they had even given him the keys of their house. Due to this attitude of his, he had become very famous in Hyde, because people thought that Dr. Shipman used to heal people only through his words. But under the guise of all this, Dr. Shipman would find out who is alone at what time, who has how much wealth and property, who all come to the house and where the relatives stay when the doctor is there. When Shipman was satisfied, he would kill his patients by giving them an overdose of medicine. Since those patients were already more than 80 years old, no one would have suspected their death. This continued for many years. Forget about getting caught. No one even suspected him until he himself made a mistake. Dr. Shipman started his career in a town called Pontefract, 70 kilometers away from Hyde, where he used to work in a hospital. Then, in 1974, he left Pontefract and went to Todmorden, where he got a position as a general practitioner in Abraham and Marad Medical Center. During his job here, he used to prescribe excessive quantity of Pathin to some patients, which is actually a painkiller, but it is a very addictive medicine. Dr. Shipman was addicted to Pathin, and he deliberately used to give this medicine to his patients. There is no need for medicine prescription. What happened was that the patients felt very good after taking this medicine, while in reality, they did not know that they were taking drugs. This was the reason that the patients of Shipman were attracted towards him, even if they did not want to. After getting caught, the hospital administration fired Dr. Shipman, and the matter reached to canceling his license, but the Shipman saved his license from getting canceled. After spending some time in the rehab center, when everyone forgot him, he came to Hyde in 1977. Where he got a general practitioner in Donnybrook Medical Center. In 1980, he kept practicing on the position of GP, and in the meantime, neither did he give up drugs, nor did he find an opportunity to kill old patients. But the frequency of these murders increased a lot from 1993, when he opened his own clinic in Hyde and made a good name in the city. For the next several years, the matter went on like this, and no one suspected the doctor's actions. For the first time in March 1998, Dr. Linda Reynolds, who worked at Brooks Surgery, a hospital opposite Shipman's clinic, reported the high mortality rate among shipboard patients. Tashvi expressed her doubts that Shipman, who runs a small clinic, has lost 16 patients in the last 3 months, while Brooks Surgery, which has 3 times more patients than Shipman Clinic, has lost only 14 patients in the same period. This doubt grew when it was found out that all 16 patients of Dr. Shipman were not buried after their death, but were cremated. Let us tell you here that most Christians bury their loved ones after death. Only a few people decide to cremate them. Dr. Linda expressed her doubts to the Manchester coroner in the form of a report in which, along with all these details, it was also written that most of these 16 patients of Dr. Shipman were old women who were found dead in their homes, and it cannot be a coincidence every time that most of these patients were old at the time of death. Dr. Shipman is done, but Dr. Shipman's patients died in a strange way while sitting on a chair in well-dressed clothes. And secondly, at that time, either Dr. Shipman was at his house or he went to the house for the first time and found the patient dead, which cannot be normal in any way. On the basis of this report, an investigation was also done, but the police did not find any concrete evidence against Dr. Shipman. And after a month, this investigation was closed. When Dr. Harold Shipman's patients used to die, he used to sign Form B himself. Form B is the form which has to be signed by the doctor treating the patient, in which he writes the cause of death of the patient. But the issue was that Form C, which has to be signed by other doctors, in most of the cases was also signed by Shipman's friend doctors or those people who did not suspect him. Shipman used to write fake information in the death certificates of his patients and send them for cremation without any doubt. Due to this process, many deaths remained uninvestigated. And this was the reason why Shipman was able to hide his murder easily. After the investigation was closed, his Shipman killed 3 more people, but the time of getting caught was not far. Shipman's last victim was Hyde's former mayor Kathleen, 81 years old, who died in her house on 24th June 1998. And here also, Dr. Shipman was the last person who saw Kathleen alive for the last time. He later signed the death certificate and wrote the reason of death as old age. Kathleen's daughter, Angela Woodruff, was herself a lawyer who became suspicious of her mother's insistent death when she found a will of her mother in which she had mentioned her own death. The house was written in the name of Dr. Shipman. Dr. Shipman was very close to the family, and the fact that he got the house in the will did not become the basis for suspicion. Rather, Angela suspected that her mother had 2 houses, while only one house was mentioned in the will. This shows that the will was written by someone who did not know about the other house, and that person was Dr. Shipman. Angela Woodruff went to the police, who started the investigation again. Kathleen Grundy's body was exhumed from the grave and sent for autopsy. It was found that traces of diamorphine and heroin were found in her body. When the police asked Dr. Shipman, he said that Grundy was addicted to heroin, and she had also written this in her computer before treating her. Dr. Shipman recently started making entries in a computerized medical journal, but they did not know that although they had entered the date before the death in the entry, the last edit date of the file is automatically saved in the computer. When the police checked the entries in the computer, they found that it was not enough to arrest the ship management, but the police also found the typewriter that was used to write the fake will. This was discovered because some characters in Shipman's typewriter were corrupted, and the same characters were missing in Grundy's will. On 7th September 1998, the police arrested Hyde's well-known doctor Harold Shipman. When this matter came to light, people also came forward whose loved ones had been killed by the shipmate earlier. They had doubts, but could not raise their voice in front of the city's well-known doctor. The police also investigated 15 other patients who had died at the hands of the shipman some time back. In all these cases, a specific pattern was observed in which the patient was given a lethal dose of diamorphine. He himself signed the death certificate and wrote old age as the cause of death. The shipper himself also advised cremation. During the Shipman inquiry, all the cases of patients who died in Shipman's care were revisited. The inquiry team investigated all the documents, death certificates, and medical records handled by the shipman. Apart from this, the families of those whose relatives were shipman were also interviewed. Some of the bodies were exhumed, and forensic postmortem was also done. This process was very detailed, And during this, it was found that Shipman had killed a total of 218 patients from 1975 till he was caught. This is the confirmed number, but in many cases they were not confirmed due to lack of evidence. It is estimated that this number could be up to 260. The court convicted 15 people for murder. He hanged himself by tying a bedsheet to the bars of the Shipman. After his death, a jailmate revealed that Shipman had killed not 218 and 260, but 508 people. And his Shipman himself had told him this, but the real reason for Shipman killing so many people has not been revealed till date. Some people call it psycho. Some say it is a way to earn money. And some people are also considering it as the effect of Shipman's mother's death, because his mother, who was a cancer patient, was given morphine as a painkiller. Experts believe that perhaps Shipman wanted to see his patients also die by giving them morphine in the same way. I hope you will like and share this video of Insights Tales. See you in the next great video.